Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And this video is just to update you guys on something I'm working on and give you an idea of how I'm changing things to fit my needs and the way I want. So I'm redesigning a bipod mount for my gun. Or at least one of them is probably going to be the only one get one, because I don't see me making any more of them. But we'll bring you down here to the bench and show you what we got. Right now is the time to rush and get your coffee, your Trump coffee. Alright, so here's what we started out with. The first thing I had a problem with on this, and yeah, there's two problems with this thing that I don't like. And I've been getting controversy from people about this being an Atlas or a true Atlas or whatever. But, you know, these things are manufactured off the same damn assembly line. Whoever decides to put their name on it is they just pay them, they put their name on it, and that's it. You know, it's the same product, exactly. You're not buying a name, you're buying a product, and you can say it's true or true not, but you know, that's your problem, not mine. But anyway, I do like this part of the bipod, so this thing is actually worth modifying to make better, because we know that we can use this part of it. Alright, so we're going to need to keep these parts and these parts. Alright, well, we need a way to make that mount so we don't have to make that. So I decided to start taking this thing apart. So here are the parts that I have left over out of that, and redesigned it to look like that. Now, we're not done with this by far. As you can see, one problem is this is off to the side. I don't know how I made that mistake, but it's not that big a deal. It's a mistake that can be fixed by just making everything around it look like it's meant to be there. So right now I've got this thing marked for where I'm going to drill the final, the one that should have been, hole right there. That aligns this crossways from the legs. If I was to put this where it was supposed to have been, it would have been right there like that right there. But as you can see, the Picatinny rail would have to be taken off, re-drilled, and done that way, and just remount this part, which is what I think I'm going to do anyway. But anyway, here's the deal. The problems that I had with this was the fact that these here were impossible to tighten up. I mean, you just can't get them to tighten like they're supposed to. They will move no matter how tight you get it, unless you put, and I have, you can see where I have marks where I had to use the vice grips, and must have been in a time when I couldn't find something to wrap around it and was in a hurry or something, I don't know. Or mad enough to not care, one of the two. But, so that's one problem with this bipod. Remember, this is the great feature. This is a good feature. You can set that however you want. No spring. I don't like the spring-loaded ones. I like these type right here, and these would be easy or simple to make. I can make all that. I don't know about all this down here. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. And then the other thing, what was it that I did? Oh, this thing here, it's supposed to be a quick release. All right. So if you have that in the released situation, and this problem's not going to change because I'm just robbing that off of this to put on this. So, but this is one of the things that I didn't like about this, and that was the fact that in the off position, when this is loose to come off, you still have to reach down here and turn that Allen or at round head, and just to get it on there. But then when you go to adjust that or adjust this down to where it's clamped tight, it was just floppily flop flop flop, you know. So then you had to reach over here and tighten that down a half a turn or so, and just keep doing it until you get it done. Well, that just takes longer than if you just didn't have an adjustment at all. That didn't make no sense. There's not even a straight head in that thing. And I'm almost certain there's not even a frickin' Allen hole in there. So this was just a poor design. Yeah, there's not even an Allen hole in there. It's just a circle drilled in there because the threads go all the way through this. So, you know, even if they was to put a slot in the side of that for a straight screwdriver, well, if you had to adjust that end further to the point where you couldn't get the screwdriver on it because that bolt that goes through here would be level to this and you wouldn't have nothing to hold the screwdriver anymore. But, you know, that's just a design flaw right there that can be fixed. And I just haven't decided how I want to fix that. But no matter how I don't know if it's just all my Picatinny rails are different size or what. I don't know. But we're going to investigate and find out why. But if it's going to have, I looked at it this way. If it's going to have a swivel without me wanting it to swivel, then let's at least control it. So I decided to make this. This is a 360-degree mount. And let's say, for instance, let's just say that you was on a range and you wanted to shoot several targets. Okay, unlock that, and guess what? You're turning. You're getting a full, I don't know if I would go that far. Maybe to the 45 mark both ways. And that gives you a long range of places to shoot. And you don't have to pick your bipod up and do this. Imagine your gun right here. You'd have to pick your gun up to move it. Well, this way you don't have to. So we're working on this thing. Right now I've got to take it apart. And I think what I'm going to do is relocate. Now this works great with these M-locks. So them M-locks and the regular Picatinny rails must be a different size. So originally I was going to use this as a mount. I made this out of a scope ring. And I just took and drilled holes for these to go in and then countersunk them for the heads of these screws and had just enough room. I mean, just enough. I was a little off on this side here, but you know, for the most part, it's nothing that messes with anything. And this can be mounted on something else that has a groove or a slot. Well, this is the slot. We need a matching groove for that to slide down onto and thread to it. And I can mount that to anything to make it a Picatinny mount part. So we got a few things we're working on here, but I really like this. Yeah, it makes it a little heavier, but this is for a bench gun. This is not for hunting. This is for bench gun shooting. So, you know, if you feel froggy and you want to carry all that weight, have fun, man. Carry that thing to your heart's desired. But I think what I want to do is that. I think I want to just take and move these screws around. Take this back off and turn it and re-drill and re-tap. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to go over to the mill and we're going to do some work. Alright guys, so I've taken the bottom part off and I've taken the rail off, and we have decided that we're just going to turn that to the right location. So just to make sure I am in the right location, and I am. So now we need to set this up so I can drill these holes where they're supposed to be, which is right there and right there. Alright, so I went and made a shim for right here. It's just a cushion shim, basically all that is. So let me show you what I did. I went and made that hole deeper. So now that will lock into place right there. And I still have a little extra right there that you can't even, it's just so little that it's close. And it's still got room to go because it's a flat. So we got that. So now let's put our bearing in here, but I'm messing up right now. I'm not putting grease on nothing. So I need to do that. So let me get my grease and we'll be back. So what I have here is some just high temperature grease. It don't really matter. It's just, this is my scrap grease. This is for little stuff. So we just kind of put a little bit of bearing grease on those. And you don't want to put a lot on it. And these are just little bearings that I have taken out of other stuff. Little flat bearings for flat surfaces. I've got a few more of them in different forms. Actually, I didn't even need to do that one. And then we'll put a little bit around this, and we just want a skim of it. We didn't want a lot. We just barely want to know we got some on there. Because you're going to have to clean squeeze out anyway. Alright. So now we've got that. Let's put it in its home position. And there's home position. So now we can put our screw in that I have modified. I've turned the end of it. It's a 9/16 3/8 bolt. And I just threaded this piece. Half of it is 3/8 and the other half is in millimeters, because that's what my cap screw bolts are, is in millimeters. So now we're just tightening this down, just like so. And look, very little play. I probably could have got away with putting another washer there, but it's a bipod. It's not something that's going to be moving every damn day. Probably never move until I decide to move it. So we just clean up all this. I'm using my fingernail, just so you guys know that's why I have fingernails, so I can clean up my stuff. So now we're going to take this back out and clean all that permanent marker off. And now we have a bearing base. Alright, so now we can put our thingamabob right here. Yeah, hold on a minute. I need to go face that. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we've got our bearing done, and I cleaned it up a little bit and faced that off a little bit. So we have a stopping point, which should be right there. That's our home position. And you got a pin that goes into that hole. So now I made a bushing to go here and I can't find it. I lost it when I come out to the shop, so I'll just have to make a new one. But I made it only because my machining sucks. I made this groove, or the width of this, wider than this, and it should be exactly the same so that it keeps it from spinning. So I had to make a L gasket for it that hung over and bent over to the shape of this. I had to heat it up and get a real fine corner so it set down in there perfect. But for now, I'll just hold it to one side until I can get another one made. Alright, so here's what the original one's like. When you go to, let's say you're shooting at a bird that's a bad bird, like a starling, and you go bam, 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 and then something catches your eye over here and you got another starling over here thinking he's getting away with something, and then you got to turn your gun. Well, this here puts a lot of stress. When it digs in here and digs in here, it puts in a lot of stress. And see what happens? It just unlocked that turn screw. So I got tired of that. So now let's take this one off and put the other one on. And this is another thing. You see this, you can't get it loose. So you have to fumble with the gun to get it to come loose by turning that screw. Finally it'll come loose. And if you adjust it looser to get it on, then you have to adjust it again to put it back, to get it back off. Alright, so now let's put this one on. And I got it backwards. And I even explained why I did that. And it really doesn't take up much more room than the other one did. You're only coming down about another inch. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's probably heavier. But like I said, this is for my bench gun. So now we're gonna shoot at that bad bird the easy way. So look at that. That'll work, man. I'll kick them birds' asses, man, I'm gonna tell you. But then when you want to lock it in the home position, you can do so. So now it don't turn at all. So I think that'll work. What do you think, guys? Works for me. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.